Electric is shutting off power in West Maui as a red flag warning remains up for the state until 6 o'clock tonight. HECO says it's activating its public safety power shutoff program for the area now because of the threat of wildfires from high winds and dry conditions, and the shutoff may last most of the day. Now, other fire-prone communities should also prepare for the possibility of extended power outages. For more on the conditions of what we're dealing with, let's send it over to Guy Hoggy with your first alert forecast.
There's that red flag warning. Again, winds running 20 to 30 with gusts that are stronger, bring lower humidity levels. So if a brush fire were to break out, it would spread very quickly. And you can see rain would be the ultimate remedy, but there's just not much out there. However, a disturbance is expected to bring in scattered showers, especially for the windward areas of Maui and Hawaii Island later tonight. For today, though, it's going to remain rather dry, and you can see that persists right now. And those winds already stepping up. They'll be getting stronger throughout the day. And even though it's going to be a comfortable, beautiful day, keep in mind there is that underlying brush fire threat, and especially out towards Makaha where it's going to be especially dry. So standard best the weather on the planet stuff, but again, the red flag warning is on for all leeward areas through 6 p.m. tonight.
A 64-year-old woman was rushed to the hospital in serious condition after she drove her vehicle off a second-story parking structure this morning in Kaka'ako. The crash happened just before 7:30 a.m. on Waimanu Street. Photos from the scene show a second vehicle was damaged on the ground level. EMS said paramedics treated the driver for multiple traumatic injuries and took her to a nearby hospital in serious condition. No word on what led up to the incident. HPD is investigating. 3 people were injured, including one critically, following a 2-vehicle crash in Pearl City. It happened at around 5:20 this morning on Komai Drive in Pacific Palisades. Honolulu EMS said paramedics administered advanced life support to a 70-year-old man and rushed him to a nearby hospital in critical condition. 2 women, ages 20 and 45, were also taken to a nearby emergency room in serious condition. The cause of the crash is unclear. Nurses picketed at another Hawaii hospital today. On Kauai, nearly 160 nurses at Wilcox Medical Center in Lihue were demonstrating from 6:30 to 8:30 a.m. They're calling for safer staffing levels for quality patient care. The nurses and management have been negotiating for 5 months. The Hawaii Nurses Association is hoping to use the recently signed contract at Kapi'olani Medical Center as a model for Wilcox and other hospitals. An Oahu grand jury has indicted Jabron Copeland for murder in the 2nd degree. He's accused of shooting 50-year-old Christina Baca multiple times. Her body was found in a Manoa storm drain last month. Officials say Copeland and Baca had an intimate relationship and a history of domestic abuse. Copeland is being held without bail at OCCC. The head of a government watchdog group is urging the Maui Police Commission to question Chief John Pelletier publicly about MPD's response in the days after the Lahaina wildfire. Now, this comes amid new reports that victims' remains were mishandled by the department. Allison Blair is tracking the story.
Last week, MPD's former morgue contractor revealed the department failed to follow many of the protocols for the respectful and accurate recovery of people who died in the Lahaina fire. When H&N Investigates asked Chief Pelletier about the claims, he refused to answer any questions regarding those processes. Now, there are a growing number of calls for the Police Commission and other county leaders to step up and get answers.
In the weeks after Grayson Ibarra's contract ended with Maui PD, the city's longtime forensic morgue technician broke his silence on alleged missteps made by officers and officer recruits who had been ordered to recover human remains in Lahaina, despite not having proper training.
Why do you think that the community needs to hear this story?
To know what happened.
Ibarra says the process was so disorganized, he can't guarantee all of the ashes families received are actually those of their loved ones. Cameron Hurt says it's a reality we cannot allow to be swept under the rug.
The sting of a mom going to pray at a gravesite and just never knowing, that's something that'll never, ever be able to be made right. And accountability could have gone a long way.
Now, government watchdog group Common Cause Hawaii is calling on the Maui Police Commission to get answers to questions Chief John Pelletier is refusing to acknowledge. On October 3rd, H&N Investigates sent this media request asking if proper protocols were followed. We also inquired about the department's use of training recruits, if there was a rush to recover remains, and what, if any, steps the department has taken to prepare for future disasters. None of those questions were answered. We also gave the chief an opportunity to sit down with us for an on-camera interview. Instead, a department spokesperson replied, "Please refer to our preliminary after-action report, the Attorney General's report, and past official press conferences that provide comprehensive details addressing aspects of the recovery process."
Why not talk to us? There's comfort in the sunshine. Step into the light. The police commission could have him come in and answer questions in a public forum. I think that is critical. I think that it's also well overdue.
There are also questions regarding why MPD leadership chose to assign the acting captain of technical services, a job that deals with things like contracts and capital improvement projects, as Lahaina's daytime incident commander the morning after the fire. Here's what that acting captain told members of the Fire Safety Research Institute panel during an interview for the Attorney General's wildfire investigation.
Any experience or training or certifications for large incidents like this that you brought with you?
As far as like mass casualty events or training, no, sir.
We asked MPD to explain its decision. We're waiting for a response.
It is the height of recklessness. Are we to believe that there was nobody of senior management level that had mass casualty training within that whole department?
This isn't like any other job that police officers do. This is very, very unique. There are very, very specific policies, and whoever is overseeing that operation has to have that training. Anybody else, it's not acceptable.
State of Hawaii Organization of Police Officers spokesperson Dustin DeRollo.
Families should not have to experience the trauma and the grief of knowing that the remains of their loved ones may not be the remains of their loved ones. And our officers do not deserve, based on the job they do every day, to feel that they had any part in desecrating somebody's remains. That is very real, and it is very heavy for our officers. We want to make sure that never happens again.
H&N Investigates sent emails to the Maui Police Commission, every member of the Maui County Council, and to Mayor Bisson's office, asking how they plan to address claims MPD botched the Lahaina recovery process. Not one official answered that question, to which Hurt had this to say.
Remember your own integrity. You must execute your position in the best, most effective way for the general public.
The public deserves to know what's going to happen the next time one of these disasters happen, because it will happen.
It's why Shopo says the department needs to prepare now. Not only by providing proper training, but personal protective equipment necessary for officers to safely do their job.
It's been over a year without the officers receiving that equipment. And that makes us ask the question, well, why isn't it happening?
As for how the community can get involved,
be at as many of your county council meetings as you can be. They matter, your testimony matters. Second, the police commission, you can show up, you can testify, you can offer written testimony.
We've posted everything you need to know about how to testify at those meetings on our website, hawaiinewsnow.com. Now, there's another facet to this story Common Cause Hawaii says also needs to be addressed publicly.
A claim MPD owes Grayson Ibarra's forensic morgue company, Graytech LLC, more than $250,000 for postmortem services the company provided in the wake of the Lahaina disaster. When H&N Investigates asked if and when the department plans to pay Ibarra, a spokesperson said MPD is currently conducting a criminal investigation into Graytech LLC. No further information is available at this time. Something Ibarra says Maui PD's never mentioned to him.
You've been in business with this person that you're investigating for years. 4 years. So now So now is the time where it seems critical to have to investigate him. For what charges?
We asked MPD that same question, but the department wouldn't tell us anything about the allegations. MPD leadership also wouldn't tell us when the investigation was opened or even what the report number is.
Meanwhile, Maui County says it is aware of Ibarra's claim he was never paid. In a statement, the Corporation Counsel said it is, quote, reviewing Mr. Ibarra's contractual allegations. Allison Blair, Hawaii News Now.
Family, friends, and political leaders gathered in Washington to pay tribute to Ethel Kennedy. President Biden and former presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton were among those celebrating the life of the widow of Robert F. Kennedy during a memorial service at the Cathedral of St. Matthew. The leaders and family members shared fond memories of the longtime human rights advocate and Kennedy matriarch.
If you met my mother, you couldn't help but fall under her spell. And that's because my mother loved people. She believed in people, in everyone's innate potential.
We live at a time of such rancor and division. What better time then to remember the life that Ethel Kennedy lived? A woman who understood that our salvation comes from turning towards each other, not turning away.
Ethel Kennedy raised 11 children she shared with husband RFK, who was assassinated in 1968. She died last Thursday of complications from a stroke at the age of 96. In the race for the White House, Vice President Kamala Harris is going after reluctant Republicans, while former President Trump is wooing Hispanic voters and women. Natalie Brand has more from the White House.
Vice President Kamala Harris returns to battleground Pennsylvania and one of the most critical swing counties in the country, where she's making a play for moderate Republicans.
Trump may be running as a Republican, but the truth is he does not share those long-held Republican values of supporting democracy, of standing for the rule of law, and of faithfulness to the Constitution.
Her campaign says former GOP lawmaker Adam Kinzinger was one of more than 100 Republicans joining her at this Bucks County event outside Philadelphia, as well as Republicans who previously worked for her opponent.
I think we all recognize the courage that you are each showing to speak out so publicly and to put, as we are saying, because we truly believe in country over party.
Former President Donald Trump is courting Latino voters in Florida, taking part in a Univision town hall.
Tuesday in Georgia, he joined a Fox News town hall centered on women voters.
I'm the father of IVF, so I want to hear this question.
An audience member asked whether abortion restrictions will impact a woman's ability to get fertility treatments such as IVF.
The Democrats tried to attack us on it, and we're out there on IVF even more than them. So we're totally in favor of it.
We should take responsibility for the fact that 1 in 3 women in America lives in a Trump abortion ban state.
The latest CBS News polling shows Harris leading Trump among women voters nationally by nearly 10 points. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
With less than 3 weeks to go to the general election, the candidates for Hawaii County Mayor joined Hawaii News Now for a live forum. Lynn Kawano has the highlights.
Incumbent Mayor Mitch Roth is fighting for a second term. His challenger is Dr. Kimo Alameda, a Big Island-born psychologist who has worked in public health and led the Hawaii County Fentanyl Task Force.
Let's jump right into it. We're going to start off with the economy.
The two appeared on Spotlight Now, hosted by Ryan Kalesuji and Yonji Denise. Alameda is running on the idea of change, while Roth touted his record to show progress.
Grace Larson sending in this one to us, saying, what is your 5-year plan to solve homelessness and affordable housing?
We started with over 1,000 people who are homeless this last year. The point-in-time count showed a 28% decrease. We brought a whole bunch of different people together, and we came up with a plan, a 13-point plan. We've been working together with different agencies. We've actually been funding different agencies.
Our administration will be also concerned about the almost homeless. You see, because people are homeless not because they ran out of money. Most people are homeless because they ran out of relationships. You know, they burn bridges. And so this administration got to pay attention to drug addiction. They got to pay attention to mental health.
The mayoral race is nonpartisan, but viewers wanted to know more about their political affiliation. Both said they voted for President Joe Biden in 2020. COVID hazard pay for city workers had Alameda touting his union support, while Roth fired back.
The unions didn't endorse me because I didn't agree to pay 25% hazard pay to every union worker, actually to every county employee. I could have taken $80,000 for myself.
Said we got the safest, county in the state, but guess who made them safe? Those county workers who were making sure that everybody was 6 feet apart, making sure that everybody had masks, making sure that everything was sanitized. They put themselves at risk.
While the debate did have some finger pointing, the men were respectful. They did not interrupt each other or raise their voices. They actually left the studios together in an Uber. The general election is Tuesday, November 5th. If you missed the forums, you can watch them on our website, hawaiinewsnow.com. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
All right, it's time for our weekly crime roundup. Now we're joined by Honolulu Crime Stoppers Sergeant Chris Kim. What do you have for us today?
Got 3 cases I want to highlight. The first case is a purse snatching, a robbery in the second degree that happened on Saturday, September 28, 2024, at about 11:44 p.m. An elderly female was waiting at a bus stop off of North Hotel Street when this unknown Polynesian male came up behind her and snatched her purse, causing her to sustain some serious injuries. He's been described as an unknown Polynesian male, approximately 5 feet 6 inches to 5 feet inches tall, wearing a black hat, red shirt. Shortly after doing this purse snatching, he then changed into this darker colored clothing. Our next case is a burglary in second degree that happened in the Aiea area. On Tuesday, October 1st, 2024, about 11:30 p.m., this male broke into the Hawaiian Telecom property in Aiea, shut off the power to the property, and then broke in and took numerous items. He's been described as an unknown male. Our third case is a burglary in the second degree that happened off of Kupaohi Street on Friday, October 4th, 2024, at about 11:32 p.m. 3 unknown males reversed a stolen white Kia sedan into the 24 Vape store in Waipahu, and then basically ransacked the store and took a bunch of property. All 3 suspects are being described as unknown. All 3 cases we talked about today can be seen over at the www.honolulupd.org website, bottom left-hand corner under wanted persons.
Shameful. Let's find all of them. Yeah. All right. Thank you for being with us today, Sergeant Kim. Let's take a live look outside with our tower cam looking over downtown out toward Aloha Tower. We're going to have more news and some sports news after this break. More than a dozen family members of the convicted Menendez brothers are calling for their release from prison following the 1989 killings of their parents. Today's news conference in downtown Los Angeles was the largest gathering of the extended family since the brothers' 1996 sentencing. It came after the district attorney announced that prosecutors are reviewing new evidence to determine whether they should be serving life sentences. The brothers admitted to the crime, but at the time said they feared their parents were about to kill them to prevent the disclosure of the father's long-term sexual molestation of Eric Menendez. They are currently incarcerated without the possibility of parole. The U.S. is warning Israel to let in more humanitarian aid into Gaza or else face the consequences. In a letter to Israeli leaders, the Biden administration warns that it could cut off military aid if the situation doesn't improve soon. Rami Inocencio reports from Tel Aviv.
The fight for food is growing across Gaza, with hundreds of thousands of Palestinian civilians desperate for help. The U.S. says Israel slowed or stopped almost 90% of aid across the tiny enclave last month as its military campaign rages on.
Everything is stacked against us at this point. It's an absolute horror day after day.
The Israel Defense Forces released video showing aid trucks rolling into northern Gaza Wednesday, saying they are filled with food, water, medical supplies, and shelter equipment. That move may be in response to that forceful letter Washington sent Israeli leaders here in Tel Aviv just a few days ago, setting an ultimatum. Let at least 350 trucks into Gaza every day or risk losing U.S. military aid.
It's possible to get humanitarian assistance into Gaza. We know it can be done. We know that the various logistical and bureaucratic obstacles can be surmounted.
Humanitarian groups say aid is at its lowest level in months, with dire shortages of fuel, medications, and blood for hospitals. Israel's bombing raids have forced the closure of medical centers, shelters, and even bakeries. U.S. officials say Israel has 1 month to lift restrictions and improve the humanitarian situation or risk losing weapons from their biggest ally and supplier. Rami Inocencio, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
14 UH Manoa Sports will join the Rainbow Warriors football team in the Mountain West Conference starting in 2 years. The move will help revive the Mountain West after 5 schools recently left to join the Pac-12. Manoa's status as a full member will also save the school millions of dollars because UH negotiated to stop paying travel subsidies for other teams to come to Hawaii, which typically costs about $175,000 per trip.
I mean, certainly it's going to help financially for us, but I don't think anyone here who especially been around a lot longer than I have felt good about the fact that we were kind of taxed taxed along the way to pay for our competitors come out. Nobody else has to do that in the conference.
The UH teams that are joining the Mountain West are now in the Big West Conference, which only includes California teams. Joining the MWC will require them to travel to schools in 3 different time zones. UH coaches see that as a big plus.
The NCAA's passed rules a lot of times, as you guys have heard, to separate the haves and the have-nots, and we're going to make sure we're not a have-not.
I got a few texts this morning from recruits already, now adding a little bit of additional interest because we're kind of right in their backyard.
The only UH teams that won't be joining the Mountain West are men's volleyball, men's swimming and diving, women's beach volleyball, and women's water polo. And that's because the Mountain West does not include those sports. PepsiCo is reversing course on shrinkflation. The company will put more chips in some Tostitos and Ruffles bags to bring back customers who are fed up of higher prices with skimpier bags. These new bonus bags will contain 20% more chips for the same price as standard bags in select locations. The company is also adding 2 additional chip bags to its variety pack option. PepsiCo has seen sales decline as prices have gone up. As families continue to feel the effects of higher prices on everyday items due to inflation, a Goodwill in southern Nevada is stepping up to help make the Halloween holiday more affordable. From superheroes to spooky characters, Goodwill stores were fully stocked with both gently used and brand new costumes. At a fraction of the usual cost, residents can get a Halloween costume ranging from $7 to $15. Officials say thrift stores have seen a steady increase in shoppers looking for cheaper options. And sticking with the Halloween theme, here's something you don't usually see on the roadways. Dashcam video from an Ohio police department shows an officer trying to corral an inflatable jack-o'-lantern that went rogue. When arriving at the scene, the officer unexpectedly encountered the giant Halloween decoration that escaped from its yard and got into the middle of the street. When the officer tried to move the runaway pumpkin, it suddenly surrounded him completely. With the help of a passerby and another officer, they successfully returned the pumpkin to its owner. Fortunately, neither the officers nor the inflatable pumpkin were harmed during the incident. Oh, that's such great video. All right, let's end today with another live look outside. Again, we have a red flag warning up for the state until 6 o'clock tonight. HECO did shut off power in West Maui as part of its public safety power shutoff program because of the threat of wildfires from high winds and dry conditions. And again, other communities could see power outages as well, so please prepare ahead. Mahalo.